Welcome to She Plays, the podcast, where we talk about it all.
Sports, fun, equality,
and everything awesome that happens when she plays.
I'm Stephanie Lane.
I'm Joy Crook.
I'm Ashley Hart.
And we're so glad you're here.
We are three best friends from college
who believe in women's empowerment and equality in sport.
In this podcast, we'll talk with the athletes who inspire us with their excellence and passion.
And give you an inside look at their real lives.
We'll keep you updated on the latest news from professional sports leagues in the United States.
And big events happening around the world.
Thanks for tuning in.
Hello and welcome to She Plays Podcast. This is our first podcast, and we're going to take a few minutes to help you, our listeners, get to know who we are and why we're here starting She Plays. So what is She Plays? She Plays is a platform that we've created to help grow women's sports in the United States at first, and then hopefully around the world. It's a growing thing, but we just want to help it reach its next level. And so we are a platform that is bringing fantasy sports to all the major professional sports leagues that women play in the United States. And we're also doing this podcast, hopefully to help listeners just learn more about what's going on in the sports world, what's going on in the leagues that are playing at the time, and definitely for this first part, building up to the World Cup in June. We're a platform made by women to support other women in what they're doing and to hopefully help them achieve more equality and to get their name out there more. We definitely want to help the leagues here and abroad grow to be as big as they can.
Yeah, and that was something that the fact that this doesn't exist, that women's leagues are not represented in current fantasy sports, that was something that really surprised me. I'm not a big fantasy sports person yet, but I just assumed that they represented everything out there. To me, the fact that they don't is just a huge problem, and something that's really exciting to tackle. Let's tell people who we are.
Yeah, Ash, do you want to introduce the team?
Sure, yeah. So my name is Ashley Hart. I live in Orlando, Florida, the city beautiful. And I have been playing fantasy sports with my family for a long time, probably since college or even high school doing bracket challenges. But yeah, big time sports fan, loved playing sports growing up, love watching soccer in particular. Go Orlando Pride, first shout out of the podcast. And just really excited to be a part and to get to do this with two of my closest friends, who I will toss it to them to introduce themselves.
Take it away, Joy.
All right. I'm Joy Crook. And yeah, I'm married to Brian, and I have a beautiful golden doodle named Honey. And I'm slightly obsessed with the dog. So I live in Baltimore. Yeah, as it should be. If you get to know her, she's wonderful. I live in a suburb outside of Baltimore. Sports have really played a big part of my life. Still just love running, love being healthy, and just that part of my life is just something that keeps me sane. I realized in the last couple of years that exercise is more than just for fun. It's actually like a mental health check for me. So I could not live without exercise and without sports. So just really excited.
And my name is Stephanie Lane. Probably be referred to as Steph sometimes on the podcast. I live in Durham, North Carolina, which is between Raleigh and Chapel Hill. And I'm married. My husband's name is Greg, and I have two little men in my house as well. My son Justin is just a little over 2, and then I have a baby son Lucas who is just about 6 months old, which is crazy. And so they are a lot of my life right now. But I also I grew up in the world of sports. We'll talk about that in a little bit, and just love playing really almost any sport. I've tried a lot of them over the years, and like Joy, I currently like to run, and like to play some pickup soccer here and there, or frisbee, and just kind of whatever people are doing and whatever will get me running around are pretty much something I love.
Say that you're more obsessed with your kids than Honey. They're cuter than Honey.
Oh,
So.
I am pretty obsessed with my kids. They are little hooligans, but they're wonderful. And I try not to be too obsessed, but I am. I'm obsessed with my kids. It's okay. And I'm so obsessed. I'll share this. It might not make the final cut, but my favorite day of the whole month, maybe so far, was yesterday. My little 2-year-old started soccer, and it was like, I felt like, oh, I'm a helicopter mom, but this is the best thing ever, and this will be life, and he better be messy, and all these things. So I know my little boys aren't the women in sports that we'll be talking about on this podcast, but I'm pretty excited to get involved with sports through their lives as well in the next few years. So
Absolutely. And I mean, that's part of why we're doing this. The women that are currently playing can be role models for young girls and young boys. So that's exciting.
Absolutely.
I need to send him a little Orlando City trip. I forgot to mention that I have a cactus that grows in a group planter. That's about all I've got down here.
Level of obsession. Would you say that comes between Honey and the kids, or above?
I'm pretty obsessed with the group planter. I won't lie. It's a pretty cute planter. But yeah.
I could never keep a plant alive, so
that's why I have a cactus.
Same. I think kids are easier than plants.
You just spray it every now and then. All right, so I mean, I guess we talked a little bit about background in sports, but let's get specific if we can about what you grew up playing. I remember, I think earliest memories, I was playing basketball at the Y, all through my childhood, and playing soccer as a kid, where you all run and follow the ball, little crowds of people. And then because I remember playing forward, and then at some point I got switched to goalkeeper, and played that through middle school. I tried my hand at golf one semester of high school, but broke my toe, so I didn't really get to play. I did have good candy in the locker room though. And I always loved gym. I mean, I think those were the main sports that I played, though, basketball and soccer. Joy, did you play lacrosse?
I did. So yeah, my little bit is that I played basketball starting as a kid. At some point you're doing everything. So at some point I was doing dance and gymnastics and everything. And then at some point it became just basketball. So I think I opted out of the girly things. I think I was just I don't like this. So, so played basketball. And one year my dad coached our team, which was really cute at the time. I didn't think it was so cute, but I think it was looking back. At the time you're like, Dad, stop telling me what to do. I was perfect in this, awful skill level that I have. So, that was fun. And I think just even before that, I think I just thought it was normal, but I just loved being active. And I found these old ribbons recently from third grade of this jump rope competition and the shuttle run competition that I was good at. And it's just I'd totally forgotten, but apparently I've just always loved being active, but basketball was really kind of my thing when I was little. So I played basketball until through high school. And in high school, I also started playing field hockey and lacrosse. And really the only reasons why I picked those, I think, were that, okay, everyone in the fall, everyone who played soccer was way better than me, because our area is a huge soccer area. And so I was okay, here's a sport that I can just join. And my older sister played, and so she was looking out for me, which was great. But yeah, so I played field hockey and lacrosse. And Maryland's also a huge lacrosse state, and so that was kind of fun. It's kind of the thing that people do around here. And then since then I've just ran just for fun in college, and since I don't want to steal your thunder, Steph, but Steph and I actually did a full marathon together way back, literally 10 years ago now. so yeah, I did marathon, have done like 10Ks and other different races, but yeah, just love running. Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk more about it, about key moments, but there's just something about like running really fast and running faster than other people and just kind of that sheer satisfaction of the competition that's just really satisfying. So I've always loved
it.
Similarly to y'all, I played a lot at the beginning and even into high school. Like I'm learning about myself. I really like lots of new and exciting things in a constant way, and so that applied to sports as well when I was growing up. And I just liked trying things, and I was like, oh, let's see if I'm good at that, or let's see if I like that, or some friends are doing that, and so like that was kind of the way. So yeah, pretty much everything when I was really little, and then I started to gravitate towards a few sports in high school, and soccer was actually my one of my main sports that I played. I skipped a season and like missed it so much and had all the FOMO about not playing soccer, and so played the rest of the high school through varsity, and then I actually joined indoor track for the winter for most of the way through high school and did pretty well there. It was a random decision based on a boy that I will share later. But I actually ended up like doing.
Those are always the best decisions.
Yeah, like it was the only reason I joined the track team, and I had ran when I was a kid, so it wasn't like I wasn't bad at running, and in fact I knew I was probably decent at running. The decision to join the team, and I ended up doing really well in the sport and with that boy, it turns out. So there we go.
Okay.
And then I played tennis in the spring, which was actually something I grew up playing. My parents played tennis, and so we'd go to the park and we'd play while they'd play tennis. And I remember seeing that a lot growing up. Not that they were great, but they just really enjoyed playing. And so I started playing when I was young. And when I got to high school, there was no team, no boys or girls team actually. And so I got to be part of starting the first female tennis team on the varsity level at my high school. Which was pretty cool. It was like a really tight group of girls, and actually a guys team got started shortly after, which was really awesome. It was just kind of this little like niche, like we were a small high school, so there just wasn't quite all the sports that bigger high schools already have, and that was just a cool like experience getting to like see a team form up like that. And then in high school I also did alpine skiing and ice hockey for a season, and a few other things. But first,
you played hockey?
Yeah, the first women's ice hockey team. I mean, it was before it was varsity. I stopped before it was varsity. But yeah,
wow.
they wanted to start it. And again, my friend Courtney came to me in the hall and was like, hey, we're doing this. And I played pond hockey with friends sometimes, like, just on skates and with a stick. And I loved it. And so I love it, but I learned I did not love it with all the pads on in a ring. It was like a little much. So I stopped hockey. But yeah, it was kind of a fun sports for grown up. And then like Joy in college, I didn't play too intensely except for some intramural times with soccer, but continued running. And then even after college continued, did a little bit of club soccer in DC, like a city club, which was a lot of fun. And it was when I started dating Greg, and he was on the team, and so I got invited to kind of join. And yeah, it was every Sunday afternoon. It was awesome, and it made me want to continue to play sports as an adult, I think. And Joy might have mentioned this, but it's kind of hard as you get older to like stay involved with like team sports, right? Because it requires coordination, and adults are really busy in general. So it's made me want to like, hopefully find a time and a season in life to do that again, just because it's really awesome, even if just once a week getting together with people, playing a sport, however intensely. So yeah, I love that. I still love soccer, love running like Joy. I like it for the competition, but sometimes I also just like it for the fun and like getting to run with someone. So I do a lot of trail running too, actually, which I really like, and has helped easier on my feet a little bit. So I'm getting way off track.
Yeah, you did like a 50K or something ridiculous in the last couple years, right? That's super
kids. I did a 50 trail K, which for people who don't know, and I didn't know this, trail running is slower than street running because you like lots of turns and lots of terrain. And so like the times, if you look at a trail race versus a road race, it's like very different. So yeah, we did a 50K, but it was like over 6 hours of running, and it was crazy. And the funny thing is we finished and we were like, oh my gosh, probably never again. I was kind of injured, etc. Well, same friend who did that, we are looking at one later in this year. So we'll keep you updated.
Good for y'all.
It's from, It's from
Amazing.
Pilot Mountain to Hanging Rock. It just sounds cool. I don't know.
Ooh, that does sound cool.
Right.
On a
North
mountain,
Carolina.
though. That sounds
I will say, you maybe said this, Steph, but Steph grew up in New Hampshire. That's how she could play ice hockey on a pond. That didn't happen in Durham. So,
and
And
run on
alpine
mountains.
skiing. I'm sorry. Yes.
yeah, alpine skiing. Yeah.
Good. No, I did. I grew up in New Hampshire and lived there through high school. Yes. And it's awesome. But North Carolina's awesome too. You can run in a tank top and march in North Carolina, which I did
That's
yesterday.
great. I did forget. I grew up swimming too. I forgot to say that because I guess it was just a summer thing, like summer swim team. But man, I loved it. Joy mentioned ribbons, and I was like, oh yeah, swimming.
I was the worst at swimming. That was one of the things I tried once and thought I was drowning.
I will say, Steph made me think too to mention just as like adults, like playing and how it's difficult. My sister actually started playing adult soccer league a couple years ago, which was really fun to like hear about. For me, I don't know if I just like didn't know that it existed or I don't know. But it was really cool to see her get back to something she loved. I mean, she played soccer through all of high school. I mean, like just every year she was playing soccer with like the same team, which was really fun. So it was like really inspiring to see her get back into a sport and like be on a team and just to hear her talk about the camaraderie and like, yeah, they went out for drinks after the game and all that stuff. It was really fun. And it made me realize like, man, yeah, I miss that. I miss like the being on the team and I miss, traveling for games and how much fun it is. And so that actually led me to sign up for adult soccer camp with Allie Krieger down here in Orlando. And it was amazing. Soccer camp for adults. It was awesome.
What does that mean? What do you do at adult soccer camp?
Yeah. So because we're adults, we started with a happy hour on Friday, which was fun. And then we did half a day of training on a like artificial pitch in Orlando. It was a really great facility and did a lot of drills and warm up, which was key, stretching those muscles, and then played a little bit. And then we got a presentation on nutrition and how to fuel your body correctly, which is really cool. And then the third day, we did a stadium tour of the Orlando City Stadium, which is just amazing. I mean, it's a beautiful stadium. But got to see like the locker room and how the tunnel, which is big in Orlando, it's like all painted and black light, and like one side's really encouraging for the home team and the other side's like, go home, you suck, for the visiting team. And then we played some more after that. So, but really fun, really cool to meet all of those people and to hear like maybe half of them are in adult leagues around the country. I mean, we had 3 or 4 people from Washington State come. We had one girl from Switzerland, one girl from United Kingdom come just for this camp. So it was really cool. Allie was really great, really down to earth, and really fun. So go to Allie Krieger Soccer Camp if one comes near you. But it was just inspiring. It made me definitely want to get back and maybe try to join a soccer league down here in Orlando. So
it's cool.
Very fun.
Very cool.
Let's do a little bit more recap of our childhood memories if we can remember them. Key moments from sports that you remember. And it could be guys or girls. Key moments. So there are a couple. I definitely remember the U.S. women winning the 1999 World Cup. That penalty kick by Brandi Chastain where she rips off her shirt after and we win. It was amazing. I grew up in North Carolina, so grew up a big Tar Heel fan, and women's soccer just ruled there. I mean, they were the dynasty. And so I knew Mia Hamm probably as early as I knew who Michael Jordan was, which was awesome as a young girl. And so, yeah, I remember following that team and just being so excited. And then I think we saw one of their games in like their victory tour. It might have been before or it was after the World Cup, but I remember seeing them and like getting her autograph, and it was amazing.
I'll admit, I don't think I followed a lot of female sports growing up. And even now, I'm just kind of starting to get back into it. Apart from like college, where I did, watch some more of the women's games than otherwise. But growing up, I'm gonna be like the New England one on this podcast, I guess. But women's ice hockey at Dartmouth was
Oh,
so good. Like they were definitely often better than the men's team. The men's team was very good as well. But we went to a lot of games, and this is not a key moment, but I just remember there was like one game where my dad would take me and my sister, sometimes my older brother, and just like being there with them on a Sunday afternoon, it was just like exciting. They drew quite a crowd, even though they didn't get the night game slot usually. They usually got afternoon slots, and it was just like, wow, these women are out there doing what otherwise we usually see men do in ice hockey, because women's ice hockey was and still is relatively new, and just killing it. Just it was so exciting, so fun. And I mean, that's why I tried it later on, when I was a little older in high school, just because these women made it look like such a worthy, fierce, and fun competition to be a part of. So that's probably the main thing I remember. We followed the Patriots, go New England, and some other sports growing up, but we're not going to get into no debate on this first episode.
No Patriots talk on.
I was also thinking back. Okay, so as someone who did do gymnastics at some point before opting out, I think I was a pretty big like women's gymnastics fan. Which Olympics was that?
96, Atlanta.
I watched it live, but then also, it was just like one of those moments that keeps, coming up afterwards, just seeing like that look in her eye when she's like injured and is doing that last, was it vault? What kind of, the vault. I was like trying to think of what the name of that thing is. And like that just blew my mind that she could be like that in pain, that injured, and just still do something perfectly, like sacrificing her body. I think that was just like really impactful. And yeah, just incredible to see her courage there. So yeah, that was something that I think I will not forget.
That was awesome. That was an awesome moment. Sweet. Well, we'll share more as the podcasts go on. But let's wrap this first episode up. So I'd love to just all of us share like why we think She Plays matters. I mean, we're all devoting time and energy into creating this thing, and so why do we think it matters? I'll go last.
Yeah, and I know Joy started to touch on it earlier on when we were chatting just about the lack of women's sports in fantasy right now. And like her, I was completely unaware. I think sometimes I just idealistically assume everything's equal, everything's fair, if I don't know a lot about something. And so I think as I've learned more about women's sports and just a lot of inequalities that exist right now, I don't think She Plays alone is going to change everything, nor should it. But I think that, I think what we're doing here is going to be a part of that. It's going to be a part of bringing just more visibility and, hopefully more equality to women's sports in a way that's going to, change that for the next generation too. I mean, it's just really exciting in the face of a lot of challenges to know that like this matters, I think, because the issues behind it matter. And I know we'll talk more about those issues in later podcasts, but yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think there's, I'm a nerd, so I kind of think of this in like systems thinking, value cycles. And even as we've talked today about kind of how sports have shaped us growing up, I think there's just a huge connection between, girls playing sports and having role models, and having role models that are visible and lifted up and put on platforms of respect. There have been lots of studies showing the relationship between girls playing sports and, confidence, self-esteem, positive body image, all these things that we've witnessed and just been lucky enough to experience. And yet there's this, huge kind of drop off of whether you have the option to continue playing sports, or not the option, but kind of that perspective of what that interest could lead to. I think, obviously competition grows as you get higher up in your sports career, but also I think the media, it's been well documented that the media really does not highlight women's sports to the same degree. I was just looking at something last night, and it said that women's sports are less than 10% of media coverage for sports, and 2% of just kind of what you would think of masculine sports like soccer and basketball. So 8% is like, the ice skating, the gymnastics, those kind of things that are seen as feminine. But it's 2% of media coverage for things that are considered masculine. And I think that will definitely play into how many women and girls really push themselves to continue to excel and to keep growing in their sport if they really don't see a path forward in the media. And I think that She Plays really attacks that and provides a platform where there's more coverage, where there's more exposure, where people are just naturally following some of these incredible athletes more closely. And so that kind of value cycle is really what I think we're driving for. And I think that's why She Plays truly does matter.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think this all started from, I think, back in 2015 when the U.S. women's team won the World Cup. And I realized, everyone heard that they got paid $2 million to win. And the winning men's team, I think, won 32 or 36 million. The U.S. men's team that lost in the quarterfinals got 16 million, I think. And that was totally, they didn't win it. And so I think just the inequality there kind of sparked something. Again, maybe growing up in North Carolina, being surrounded by Carolina soccer that was so publicized, and so maybe I didn't know about the inequality then, or I was just too young, but definitely have seen it since. And the fight for equal pay, which is stuff we'll talk about in another episode. But to me, it just was like, well, gosh, they just deserve to have a place that really lifts them up. They deserve to have a voice. They deserve to have a spot in the media, like Joy, you just mentioned. And they deserve, it's just something that they deserve. And so, and then like the fantasy part, it just blows my mind. Kind of like what Joy said earlier, that it didn't exist. And everyone we've talked to as we've been starting this company is like, man, we've been waiting for someone to start this. So yeah, I mean, I'm just really excited to be able to take something that I love, a hobby of following sports, and to turn it into something that hopefully does give back to the people that I enjoy watching and the leagues that have been founded. And so we're excited to see where this goes, and we hope that you come along with us. So thanks for tuning in to this first podcast episode of She Plays.